How far?
How far back? We can probably skip a couple
We can
years
skip
here.
a few. I guess the most important was I started playing soccer and I realized I really love sports. And it was just super addicting as a kid. From the other stuff we're going to talk about, a lot of who I am stems from that. And then once soccer ended, I started playing tennis because my parents forced me. This is something I regret. I could have started way earlier. So I started around 10.
Playing tennis.
Yeah, and I played 4 years. I actually, surprisingly, I feel like I caught on super quick. And so after 2 years, it was like my 8th grade. Yeah, my 8th grade year, I went online. And so I did 8th grade, all of 8th grade, and a bit of 9th grade online.
To focus on tennis.
Yeah. And then after that, we moved to where we are now, which is Boca in Florida. So coming here was weird because that happened. It was my choice to come. And then I messed up my shoulder and I couldn't really play anymore. And that was when I was like 15, grade 10. After grade 10 was when I had nothing to do. And I clearly remember that was like the first time I was cognizant of like some sort of addiction. Like I was like, oh, this is what it feels to like feel like you have to do something or you can't do anything else. You're incapable.
And that was with tennis?
No, it was because of not playing tennis where I clearly remember like always talking to my parents like every day like I was like shaking like what the fuck, like what do I do? Like it's always been sports. I felt the need to like have to do something no matter what it was, which is why it was so easy for me to start reselling. By the way, reseller for 3.5 years now. It started end of my sophomore year, I think.
And reselling, has it always been shoes?
Yeah. Oh, funny story. So wait, we'll get there. I realized the little problem I had, so I started reselling. When I started that, I didn't have any like conception of like having something, like owning something, like owning money. I was just like, because it's always been like, oh, you're the kid, like you play sports, like your parents buy you your food, like there's nothing, like you don't think of money ever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's kind of like a video game. So that got addicting.
No, I was just going to say that because a bit of background on me, I also started a business, not nearly as big, but like you don't have a concept of just buying shit. Like that sounds
it's really whack though, right? Because it's like it's not that you don't understand what you're doing, you don't understand that your processes have some sort of conclusion, but that conclusion is like never even thought about. Like at least personally, like I never thought like, oh, I'll be making this amount of money if I do this consistently for a year. It was just like every week it was like, oh, this is something I have to do.
I feel like it like changes your perception of money a lot. Like it desensitizes you a bit to like amounts of money.
Yeah, it does.
Anyways, finish the story first.
Yeah. I've been reselling for 3.5 years, and kind of that's really been the past 3.5 years. Well, I went to uni.
That sounds like the British girls in the chick flicks. Like, I'm off to uni.
I'm off to uni, mate. No, but yeah.
And why'd you choose to go to college?
Because again, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was just selling shoes. I was like, and this is the thing that sucks. But earlier, I was super academic. I was like, I want to go to Boston College. I want to go to this school. And then once I figured, it's like so corny, but it's like, you know when Gary Vee said the thing about, oh, you were just innately a salesperson or innately this type of person. Like the thing that I was doing, selling shoes, buying and selling shoes, was just like something I had to do.
Yeah.
Like it feels really...
just came natural. I want to go back to the college thing though, because I feel like a lot of people, if they were doing something, making that much, because like, I don't know if you want to talk about how much, but like you were making a decent, easily livable amount of money straight out of high school. A lot of people would just been like, fuck it, fuck school, let me just do this. What made you go to school? I feel like super fortunate to be in school, because even though I hate school, okay.
Even though I kind of don't like school, like I feel very privileged in the sense where I've had like pretty good luck growing up. Like, that was one of those things where, when I started selling, I had no concept of anything. Like, I only understood, like, going to a good school, but once I stopped knowing that, I didn't have anything to look forward to. So I was just, like, going through the motions. And, like, I was scared that I didn't have an understanding of where it could lead or where it could stop. I didn't take my SATs, my ACTs. I didn't do any of that. I had, like, decent grades, though. It was, like, June, July. Like, I wasn't going to go to college. I was like, oh, it's just... I'll take a year or something. Andrew called me.
Who's the program director? Or was at the time of...
When we got in.
Not university, but like our program.
But yeah, so I went, and it's helped a lot in a lot of ways in terms of perspective. Well, just experience itself, because like I was just working so much.
Yeah, because something I remember you talking about at the very beginning.
Like last year?
Yeah, actually this was in the sanctuary.
In the sanctuary? Yeah.
But like the difficulty of a business like that, where it's just reselling, it's not like a brand that you're building, it's not like, it's not a part of you, it's just like, I think what you said was like, it's just a heartless business. Like
it's like autonomous, kind of, and you're just like a little piece in it, and there's nothing to it.
Yeah, so I guess you could talk a bit more about that and your experience with it. Why you keep doing it.
You know my answer.
Yeah, but the people.
100%. This is weird because I stand in like this weird middle ground where like I try to be super humble because that's the most comfortable for me. But I also know that I only do this for the money because I want the money. But I know I'm like, money doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Like it's a really weird...
It's also, so okay, this can go back to our addiction conversation. But I feel like it's very much that where, like, once you get a little hint of it, it's like, fuck, gotta get, like, the next... And
it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. It sucks because I feel like it's turned me into a bitch because I'm like... I've told you about this. Like, I just want to move... Like, one option is to move to Europe and just... fuck
Leave
off.
it.
Like, buy a house, get a house, get my master's, get a job, live a low-key life. And I feel like on a lot of days, I feel like that's the answer.
Just like a 9-to-5 regular Joe.
Yeah, as long as it's something I like. Like, if I'm doing something in terms of sustainability with fashion, I'd be like super happy. Like, I'm okay with it. But on other days, it's like, get money. Hey.
Yeah.
But so it's a really weird kind of like contradiction, like in my head.
I guess this goes back to a conversation that we've had a lot about comfort and like the importance of that, and like if it's good, if it's bad.
Yeah.
It's a very controversial concept, I guess, of
comfort.
Yeah, where on the one side, like that life is very nice. It's like the easy, you want to be comfortable, just, you know, have that picket house fence, have a wife to come home to, everything is set in stone, you know what's going to happen. Yeah. But on the other end, and especially I think this is where you're at now, is like the discomfort is very addicting to a degree. At least for me, where if I'm too comfortable...
For you, I do think so, for sure.
In quarantine, when I wasn't really working on a lot, like I fucked schoolwork off, which is really bad. Yeah. Like I wasn't doing schoolwork, wasn't doing a lot for the business. I...
Meditating in the cabins.
Even before that. In the cabins, it was fine. But just like when I was just in quarantine with my family, it was very comfortable. I was just like playing video games every day. Very, very comfortable. Didn't have to worry about anything. And I fucking went crazy. I was miserable. Like, had such a bad time in quarantine.
Yeah. Wait, even, like, those first 2-3 weeks of, like, being comfortable? Or back to, like, just playing games and shit? Or was it, like, post
Actually, maybe that's the thing. I don't remember. I don't remember if I was... like, if I was feeling bad because... of the comfort, or just because I realized that I was getting stagnant, and then that was frustrating. I was like, fucking do something, you lazy piece of shit. Yeah. I was like, no, now I'm depressed, I don't want to do shit. Yeah. And I guess that comfort can like go into that wheel of spinning. Yeah. But I still feel like that, for me, I feel more fulfilled if I'm not comfortable. Like on a day-to-day basis, if there's something, even if like I have a goal for that day, like I write to-do lists most days. If I don't get everything done, but like I know I was working all day and productive and I don't get everything done, I'm like fulfilled.
Yeah. That's weird to me because I think only recently, so this is why I'm like trying to focus more on like working out aspect of shit, because I feel like only recently, because I've been working out, I appreciate all the other little things. Like before, I was way more depressed actually. Like I was way in my head all the time, and that comes from the fact of like the autonomous kind of thing that I do every day, and just school and maybe some other stuff.
Wouldn't you say that's like a pretty comfortable lifestyle though?
Yeah.
And then working out, you're kind of forcing that uncomfort, or like, I don't know if it's even uncomfort, but like dissatisfaction to a degree with where you're at.
Yeah. Ooh.
So this is another thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
Low-key, okay, so last year, I don't know if I can say this. I can say this.
Cut it in post.
No, I'm gonna just say it.
Okay.
So it was an observation that I made. We have, in our program, it's a big mix of people. Some of the people have done like a lot of crazy stuff, have owned and run successful nonprofits, have like sold, like one of our buddies just sold a media company, I think, for like $, crazy shit. And so we had a master course where we were talking about, it was just like a around the room discussion with different people about how they deal with success and how they deal with the mental. So basically what some people were saying is it's better for their mental health if once you do something, you're able to look back and be like, oh, look at what I've accomplished, go me, give myself a pat on the back. And from a happiness perspective, that's probably better.
Yeah, but it's not innate at all. Like it's not something you do.
So what I noticed is in this conversation, the people who, like, it's like weird to think about it like this, but like if you're gonna rank it in like as how much people have done in our program, like people who are just college students, which is fine because that's pretty much where I'm at as well. Yeah. Like just college students versus the crazy people who have like nonprofits, big companies that are very, very successful for their age. The common link that I found, the people who were most successful for our age were saying that once they accomplish something, they don't look back and like pat themselves on the back, but like almost to a fault, they do the opposite, where it's like, oh, what could I have done better? Like, what's the next thing I'm working towards? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I feel like from a like stereotypical success standpoint, low-key, you kind of need that mindset where it's actually kind of what Sneeko was talking about in his last video, where you need to have something that you're working towards, like some chip on your back.
Yeah.
That you're always driving towards. And if you're just always comfortable with yourself, it's very easy to get stagnant, and I think very easy to...
Yeah.
For me, when I, like, that stagnation leads to depression.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like my case is weird because like even a bit before like reselling, I was kind of depressed because of the whole tennis thing, and then reselling, and like I'd say like the first 6 months were kind of like golden just because it was like so much fun and I got really lucky and it was like a new game, right? So then afterwards I realized it was growing, but I realized I still hate it here, like in the state that I'm at.
Like here as in?
Like whatever, 2018 when I was buying and selling whatever, like that I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't think that it's that you don't want to look, well yeah, you don't want to look back because maybe you did something you didn't want to. I think people assume that when someone becomes successful, it's always like what they wanted or always on purpose. But a lot of the time this is why I think young people have more of a problem with this, because like we're going through so many changes, but like sometimes it just happens and you get there, and let's say like it's a thing, this is why I always reference tennis, like it's a thing, like I would have 100% rather do tennis right now than reselling. And so I just don't look back because I think I misstepped in my success. If that makes sense. I felt like that was a fucking tangent and a half. Holy shit.
But like, is it like you're successful with your shoe shit? So you're like, fuck, if I didn't hurt my tennis, like the success could have been like in this lane instead.
Yeah, that's part of it.
That would be fucking like twisting that
exactly. And the thing is, it's so stupid because it was one of those like you only appreciate it till you lose it type of things. Because like when I was playing, I was doing fine and everything was good, and we were even close to reach state finals in high school, and high school's like bummy as fuck. Like you don't play high school tennis if you're trying to do something in tennis.
Yeah.
And so like, that was the thing about teams. Like that was fun as shit. Like that was one of the best experiences playing tennis.
And this was after you hurt your shoulder?
This was like in the middle of it. Like I was still playing with the bad shoulder. Yeah. And because I just enjoyed it so much, and it was just like so natural. I knew that I could. This is like something I don't talk about much, but like I knew I could have done something to prevent from it getting worse or feeling pain.
Like mechanics?
Yeah, part of it. So my mechanics were really fucked growing up.
And did people warn you growing up that it could lead to injury?
Not really.
Oh,
like yes, but they were like, so many people have different unique strokes. Like, you're probably fine. But I was doing some weird shit with my fucking shoulder, hitting my forehand and stuff. But so I think if I tried really hard my freshman year of high school to really recover, I could have came back like 10 times better. So yeah, it's the thing that you're saying, that like I feel like I thought I could be successful in something else.
But with the sneaker stuff that you're trying to build now, like do you have more of that, I guess, like feeling of ownership over, because a bit of background, recently Pablo's been getting more into championing like sustainability of sneakers and your own boutique one day, that and content around that. So do you feel more ownership over that, and do you think if that pans out well you'll still look back and be like, fuck, it could have been tennis? Or do you think you have more of a connection to that?
Well, before I go into that, like right now I currently don't think, oh fuck, I still could have been good in tennis, just because like I said, like this past year and a half in school has really helped with coping with that, because I'm like, oh okay, I know I can do other stuff and like I'll still be happy. Like tennis wasn't the only thing that brought me happiness. Okay,
actually this is an interesting thing that I was thinking about the other day, how I think patience is directly correlated with confidence. And I guess it's not patience necessarily, but it kind of is. Like if you're confident in yourself and you know I can make it in something else, then you can be patient in the long run. Like, okay, I can just stick to this, keep going, it's gonna work out well.
Yeah.
And I guess similar with that is building up the confidence to be like, yeah, I didn't make it in tennis, I made it in this like easy thing, it's just this, but now you're like, oh fuck, maybe it isn't that easy, and you have that confidence now where you can transfer that to other things.
And I think, and this is the tough part, because like I don't speak about work much in general, or like any of the processes that go into any of the work. So looking back, I'm like, the only thing that fueled me getting better at these processes was depression. Like it was like I just remember so many nights just being in my room like consistently for like weeks on end. Like every night was like till 12, like 1 a.m. just like working on some campaign or something. And it was more fun before to like learn to tweak that stuff, because again I had nothing else to do except be depressed.
And it's like better than the alternative.
So now when I feel, so it's like a double-edged sword. We've talked about this so much, I think, recently about how we idolize depression. But now I'm like, I'm not in a depressive mood consistently. Like I feel like I haven't been depressed since, actually wait, no, just like like a month and a half, I think. I'd say 2 months actually. And now it's like, okay, I want to start something else, but I don't have like that chip or anything. It doesn't feel comfortable, I guess. Like I'd rather have like, oh my God, if you don't do this, your mom's gonna die. Like I'd be like, fuck, let's go. But I don't.
Again, it goes back to, I guess, to comfort as well. Now that you have this comfort, it's like, fuck, how do I find that thing to push me into, to kick into it? And I think also, I think that a lot of people are at is similar to that, where like I know, like I want to work hard on something, I want to like fully commit to a project, but you don't know what, like you don't know how, like where to start. I feel like so many people are like that. When you found it with reselling after tennis, was there other stuff that you tried before reselling?
No, that was the thing. It was just
thing.
the first thing. And I was like, okay, this works. This
Do you
eases
think,
me.
Do you think you got lucky that it happened to be the first thing that you liked, or if you've latched onto something else, do you think like it would have been that, or would you have been like, nah, fuck this, let me look for something else?
No. I do think innately reselling, the selling and buying, it was maybe subliminally like I was more attracted to that.
Why?
Because of like the sale part of it, because it felt like a game. Like, it felt like a game. Like, I still clearly remember, like, the first sale. And, like, I was like, holy shit. Like, I just, like, I did something. And I was like, oh, my God, let me do something again. Yeah. So, like, I just clearly remember doing that. Like, holy fuck, this is kind of cool. And, yeah.
Yeah, that part of if you do something, something will happen.
Yeah.
Where I feel like just getting started, that first kick is, once you get that.
It's everything. It's like... And that's why I'm pissed, because it's like, I need to get my kick again. Yeah. Like, just the first thing. It's frustrating not to be there, because I know, like, this is the thing why I'm, like, in between, like, oh, fucking off to Europe or staying here. Because it's like, I know right now I'm not in the mental state to, like, build something again. Yeah. But I 100% know I can get there. Because I know how.
And you know how good it feels to be in
Yeah. But I'm not in it right now. So I'm like, I can escape. I can escape this feeling that might bring me more depression. So it's like, it's a weird 50-50. I don't know.
Do you think that you can go into that without depression?
Yeah, I think. Well, it only happens when it needs to happen, to be honest. Like, yeah.
Ooh, okay, that relates to something that John Henry was saying. If you don't know John Henry, he's the GOAT.
Google him right now.
Yeah, super fire. Actually, if you Google him, it's such a generic name. I don't even know if he comes up. But like, if you search up Harlem Entrepreneur, I remember because he was talking about that in a podcast. Anyways, he was saying that when you're starting a business, or like a side hustle, whatever, it's very tempting to want to learn everything at once. It's like, oh, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, I want to learn product development, how to scale, like networking, blah, blah, blah. And as someone, he has started multiple companies, and he said, you don't need to learn it all at once. And there's certain things that he learned from his first venture, certain things he learned from his second one. And it's like, okay, that he just learned that from the first. He didn't need to figure everything out. He learned how to sell from his first.
Oh my God. Yeah. Right? 100%.
Like, you don't need to know everything from shoes, but like, you know how operations works, how to manage it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you can build on that knowledge base. You don't have to have it.
And that's why I'm like, I want to, like, as much as I don't want to be in the space, I know that I'm going to have to be back in it, just because like I feel like I need to be.
Maybe the second venture is where you learn the balance of how to not
yeah, maybe
feel awful, and how to.
I know. I really think it'll come. I mean, who knows what happens in these next 2 years, but if nothing happens within these next 2 years, I really think it'll come when I come back from wherever the fuck I go. Like, I feel like, and not even necessarily in the way, like, because it's really stupid to put value in some future hypothetical, yeah. I've learned that the hard way. I think that once I get there, I'm gonna understand the other side of living, like being more comfortable, like the true, not the way I know comfort, but like true, like 9-to-5 comfort, which, like I said before, like I don't understand what that even means. So I feel like once I get that perspective, I can appreciate this so much more and not be depressed.
Well, I think also building something that you actually care about will help with that as well, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's a weird thing. I have a weird connection with like caring about things. Like, really? I find it hard to care about anything other than people, if that makes sense. Like, I'd say people and money, realistically. Like, money not in the sense of like I need a lot of money, but I now understand the function of money within the world. So I know I can't be like one of those people that lives kind of nomadic or something like that, because I understand like, okay, I have like this level of comfort I kind of want to maintain.
At least, I think, what is it, 70,000? Like the difference from poverty to 70,000 is bigger than any other pay increase in terms of quality of life?
Or not even from like the lowest bracket, but from like, I think the study was like from 22,000, because that's right below the poverty line. From 22 to 70,
It's
that's like the biggest jump. And that completely makes sense. It makes so much sense.
That's what, in high school, shout out Andrew McNiven, go teacher in business. There's this guy, Daniel Pink, who studied motivational psychology, and particularly in the workplace, and how money, to a degree, up until like 70,000, can be helpful for motivating, and for jobs that don't require creative thinking, where if you're in a factory, like do X, output Y, very simple, repeat. Money's super good at motivating for that. And then for creative jobs, once you get to like a certain degree, it's helpful, but then it doesn't matter. So like you still need that base. Then after that, I guess, is where it makes sense to not care about money. And especially in that, there was this study where, I forget exactly what it was, but I think you had a box of matches, some tacks, like thumbtacks, and what was it? Basically, it was like some way to solve the problem that wasn't evident. You had to use the materials in a way that they're not usually designed for, and it required creative thinking. And with the group A, the motivation was, with money, if you get it, you get a $20 reward if you're the fastest time. The other one is just no reward, just like pat yourself on the back if you're the fastest time. And the group that got monetized for money was considerably slower, because it required that creative thinking, and like that the motivation of the money like got in the way, where they were too set, and like it has to be like this, trust like the way, and you revert back to the automatic of where your brain thinks it needs to be, and tries to do that as fast as possible. But if you're just doing it for yourself and for the purpose of it, then you can think outside the box. So his 3 things are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Is how to motivate an employee, or like anybody. Can control what you're doing, can work towards it and get better, and then you have like some sort of higher vision.
That makes sense.
Just how do you find the purpose is the thing we're working on.
I think like people always question like, oh, why would you sell what you're doing, or like completely terminate it? But it's like, it makes so much sense for me, because
to just stop it.
Like at a personal level, I feel like I'll get to that next step where I need to be, and it's kind of like what you and I were talking about, how like shit takes time. Realistically, I'm only 19, even though I'd like to think that I can do everything I want to whenever I want to. Maybe I have to give time some time, and it's like I think, like, I'd like to think that I'd feel okay with losing everything. Like I think so, because that'll just like I feel like I'll be a kid again. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I say that now, but if it happens, I don't know.
Might punch air a little bit and then get over it.
Therapy
is something that we've talked about, and neither of us go to therapy, even though we probably should.
100%.
So I guess start off, why do you not go to therapy, even though theoretically you probably know it's the right thing to do?
Dealing with it on your own, and dealing with a problem as big as some sort of depressive cave-like feeling. Like if you can deal with that on your own, like you feel like you're on top of the world in some sense. Like you're like, okay, this is what my parents meant by like hard shit is gonna come up in life, and like shit, I'm not a crack addict, I'm still good, I'm getting through it. So it's like if you do it alone, it like I get that feeling from that, and I feel like if I get the helping hand, and this sounds weird because I do think a lot of people need the helping hand, just because by nature they might prefer that, and they might feel the same outcome that I feel from doing it myself through going to therapy. So I can't bag anyone for that, but I personally, I currently don't feel like it would do anything but hurt.
Here's the thing, though, right? If you're looking at the cost-benefit analysis, the ROI of it, right? If you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna get through it by myself, and you don't, and you fuck up, that's a very bad, it's a very bad cost. Like the worst possible cost. And then, versus like, if you do get through it, the positive, I feel a little bit better by myself. Is that ROI worth it?
I think so.
On paper, I think it makes no fucking sense.
High risk, high reward, baby.
Is it high reward?
Well, I think so personally. Like finding out this thing of like working out and still being pretty autonomous with what I do every day, I still feel like good. And like I feel like I have a clear vision of what I want. So yeah.
Okay, this is interesting as well. Something else that I'm interested in is finding therapy in things that aren't traditional therapy.
Therapy, yeah.
Something like that. Like, yeah, you're not necessarily thinking about it, like dealing with the problem directly, but it's almost like meditation, but like even further than that, where if you're doing something actively and consistently working on yourself and trying to be better, whatever it is, like just that will to improve in some way kind of satisfy that. Actually, I wonder if that's is interesting, because if the correlation with therapy isn't just because you're talking out your feelings, but it's because you're doing something that's trying to make it better. It could be anything as long as it's something trying to make it better.
Yeah, maybe.
As long as it's not like something that's like, I'm trying to make it better by heroin.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. I agree. I don't know, but I should have gone to therapy. I even called.
I've booked an appointment as well.
I booked an appointment.
Low key, wait, you can finish your story.
But I think my answer is a bitch answer, because I'm like, I didn't end up going because of how much it cost.
Lynn has free counselors. It's a bullshit.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking of them though.
Yeah, okay.
But
low key, I think my doctor might have thought I killed myself. Because in the middle of quarantine, I called my doctor and was like, yo, I'm a little bit depressed. I'm
a little bit depressed. I'm in the middle of the woods.
No,
never calls back
actually,
for 4 months.
You know, it was after all hands on deck. This is interesting. So it was in one of my classes, and there was a presentation. I turned the thing in like 2 weeks late. I was like, fuck, I'm so shit right now.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I didn't present in class. I just...
Like the last one?
Yeah, I was supposed to present in class, and I was like, I'll work on it tomorrow. I had like a month to work on it. It was like the last week, I was like, I'll work on it on Tuesday, I'll work on it on Wednesday. It got to Wednesday and I had to present. It's like, fuck this. Didn't show up to the Zoom class.
Really?
Yeah, didn't do it for like a week later. And then I was like, I should probably go to therapy. Like, this is bad, Jordan. And then I called my doctor. I was like, yo, I'm a bit depressed. What's up?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you should go to therapy. I was like, you got your doc. He's like, all right, I'll call in to check in on you. And then I ghosted him for like 6 months. He called me back like 6 times to check how I was doing.
And you never picked up?
Never picked up. Never called him back.
Bruh.
Yeah, it's bad.
You should have picked up.
We're not perfect, are we?
Oh my god. He thinks you're dead.
No, because I'm pretty sure he's talked to my parents since. Not about me, but like...
Okay.
Just
in
like
general.
He would have, like my parents would have fucking mentioned to him. By the way, Jordan's no longer with us. Yeah, but I think the thing about therapy is, this is something else, and I know it's super toxic. I don't think this is your belief on therapy, but my belief on therapy is, so I've never been diagnosed with depression, officially. But the problem is, if I go to therapy and like get diagnosed, it makes it real to the point where I can't ignore it, and I have to actually do something. Like I have to hold myself accountable. Like I have to be like, yo, mom, I gotta do this because
I'm depressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if I just ignore it, then I can be like, maybe I don't have depression. Maybe I'm just sad this month.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just sad for these like 3 months.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think like even in certain close people I know, like I'm like, okay, I get that you're a certain way. Someone I know is bipolar and like very clearly bipolar. Anxious, whatever you want, like anything revolving bipolarism, like she's got it. Yeah. And it's like anytime we try to not solve it but like talk about it, it's like, oh, but I'm bipolar. Oh, but I'm depressed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm anxious. And it's like, and this might be insensitive, but and not really, because I'm empathetic towards people like that, but it's like at the same time I want to smack you and be like, you really just got to jump out of it. Like it sucks. You're in a shit place. I was in a shit place, but this is life. Like that's how now like that's the way I interpret life fully, is like you have good moments, but you completely have to embrace the bad moments. and feel like that's part of the process.
Like even like with this where people are like, oh, you should be open with your narrative about like, oh, you struggle with depression.
Yeah.
Like where's the line drawn from being open with it and then victimizing yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like that's very easy to do as well, and I've like fallen into that myself where like I failed these 3 classes this semester, but I'm depressed, so it's like it's not my fault. It's like I mean like but you can hold yourself accountable. Like that's why people are like, don't judge yourself for it, but like I think that's a little bit bullshit, and I don't think you can give that advice to other people because that's like super cold.
Exactly.
But like to yourself,
you have to.
I think you have to a degree where, but it's also fucked. Because like I would never say that to a friend because like I don't think that's
but maybe
the right
that's
advice.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe that's the way it should, because I agree. Like I don't think I could ever tell anybody that like up front because I realize you are conscious of where you are in like the depression stage, and you're like, if somebody were to tell me that get off your feet, like you gotta like fucking do something, I would punch them straight in the gut. Yeah. Like so I can't be that person. But but you have to. I've been learning to be more patient with things coming. So at the same token, I feel like I have to be patient with people in that way, and with myself.
Yeah, with yourself is the big part, I think.
Like with in relation to going through some episode or whatever.
As much as you also need to be honest with yourself, like you need to balance it, because then that can trigger shit itself. It's like you're in that stage, or you get depressed, you're not doing shit. It's like, fuck you lazy piece of shit, not doing anything. It's like, oh no, I'm even more sad. Fuck you, Jordan, why would you say that to yourself? And now I don't even want to do any more shit. And then it just keeps going. Yeah. But I guess there's a way to balance it where you're holding yourself accountable without being a dick.
Killing yourself.
Yeah, without that. That's always a good thing.
But actually, wait, I want to talk about, if you want to, about like how we interpret depression, because that's really interesting. And you just hear so many people talk about depression, and it's like it's like even like with close people we know, they say they're doing fine and they look fine, but then like a month later they're like, oh, that week I was like super depressed. They might be going through something bad must have happened, but they cope with it by like being super extroverted, for example.
Like more extroverted than normal?
Yeah.
And then afterwards they're like,
oh, that was the worst.
Oh yeah. Well,
so, like,
I guess
that's what I mean by like how they interpreted like some.
Oh, like how you cope with it, like. Yeah. Like how it shows itself.
But like I mean more, we don't have to talk about this because it is kind of personal, I feel like, but like how you feel in those moments. Because I think there's like there's different stages of depression. There's like feeling of literally nothing. Like you don't feel good or bad. It's just nothing, but that's super depressive. Then there's feelings of like painful days. Like you're just like really don't want to do anything. I want to like kill everybody around me. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. It's like, so that's what I mean by that. Like,
well, I think,
how would you feel about it, or how do you feel?
I get like if I'm really bored. Actually, towards the end, this is like towards the end of the cycle is usually where I'm like, am I depressed or am I just bored? Like, am I just like so? That's another thing that I fucking wonder a lot, which I can wonder because I've never been diagnosed with depression. Like, I've gone through a couple bad episodes, and like 2 of the times at the end, I've been like, am I depressed or was I just really like unstimulated, unbored, or like super bored, had nothing to do. So like all I can do is think about thoughts, and then you get in your own head. Yeah. Which maybe, I mean, maybe that is it.
That's interesting because I don't think that. Yeah, I've never thought that. I don't think. Like at the end, I'm not like, oh, I might have been bored, and that's why. Which I think is a good way. Like it's much healthier to be like, oh, it must have been just because I was bored.
Isn't it healthier though? Because then it's kind of just like avoiding the problem a little bit again. Oh. Where it's like, maybe. Well, no, yeah. Maybe you don't need help. Maybe you were just bored. It'll never happen again. Your life is gonna be perfect for the rest of your life. No, yeah, that's right. That's the other thing too. Because now that I'm in a good place, like maybe that was just a phase, and I'll never have it again. Yeah. And then it's gonna come up and bite me in my ass. I think the same thing. But I think once you have gone through it, you're so confident that it's never gonna happen again. Yeah. No. And then it does. But then it does. Ooh, this is an interesting thing. Yeah. Is the goal happiness?
Oof, that's a tough one to ask me because I legit feel like I've never felt happiness. And it's not bad, at least for me, because I don't know what it means. Well, Actually, that's could be a lie, but at least the way I interpret it, like I've had like high moments, but
And what do you think happiness is?
I think happiness is, this might sound corny as fuck, but like loving yourself, like fully, and that means loving who you are inside, outside, and the things that you do. Like that's like being comfortable with who you are, where you want to be, and yourself as a person. Like I think that's happiness.
That's the end goal.
I don't think it's an end goal, but I think it's like it's like it's like life is like two, let's say these 2 blocks, 1 block here, 2 blocks here. The first phase is getting past whatever the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
And then once you find the comfort in living and understanding that bad shit happens and understanding that you're gonna feel depressed and it's okay, but like fully understanding that and fully understanding,
and not just theoretically understanding.
yeah, like fully understanding it and understanding that what you do in your day-to-day is okay, like just being very comfortable with yourself. I think you hit that once you're like, it's different for everybody, because I think like for me, for example, I think like I'm gonna reach that in like 4 or 5 years, but I think it varies.
Do you think putting a time limit on it is like the best idea?
No.
Okay.
Because I think I just think that that's how it'll happen, but it doesn't really mean anything. But I feel like I usually see it in people who are like 30 plus, maybe even more, maybe even 40 plus. Like,
where they are content with that when they have reached that.
Yeah, like our parents, people even younger than our parents. Like literally, it depends, but I think it's just through experience.
And that that definition of happiness is, it's a little bit like I haven't read about Buddhism in a long time, and I haven't talked to my sister about it in a long time. But I think it's similar to the like, what is it, Buddhist what is this, nirvana? Yeah. Where, well, like that's like a whole nother level, but where just being in the present, like content with, this is where I'm at, I'm okay with it, whatever happens. And then that also is like what you were saying earlier with just being okay with, if I lose everything, so be it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd like to think that that's how I react.
And just whatever happens is like taking that, feeling it fully, not avoiding shit.
I think that's the goal, and that's something I feel like I've only learned recently. And
yeah, when did you start
to like feel that way about happiness? I think I'd say like literally like within quarantine. Like since February maybe. Like and it's just experience. Like it literally is just experience. Like I won't get personal, but like just certain experiences within the last 8 months like have definitely matured me in a lot of ways. And I think that's matured my ability to find happiness eventually.
Something I think that doesn't get factored into that when people talk about like, oh, it just takes experience. How big of a role do you think reflection takes in that?
Well, you have to reflect, or else your experience doesn't mean anything. Like
you don't have to.
Like you personally don't have to consciously go back and be like, oh, this led to this and I'm a better person. But subconsciously, when you're in certain scenarios, you know what happened last time, you know how it could be better or how you could have done better, whether it be like, it could be something tangible, intangible, like happiness or like work related. Like subconsciously, you know, like, oh, remember what you did 2 years ago? Like, oh, that's not something you do this. It's like a subconscious like feeling of reflecting without necessarily like sitting down and being like, 2 years ago this happened and like let me fully feel it. It's like it just kind of, it can come in waves.
Yeah. Do you like meditate or journal or anything?
I journaled a lot in quarantine. Like at least there was 1 month I did consistently, July. Every day.
Like talking about what?
Just like my feelings. Yeah, every day. But after that, well, the whole house thing happened, so I was like kind of all over the place. Wasn't really doing that.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about fucking buying a house at 19.
Yeah. Anyway. Buying a house at 19, buying my fucking starter guide pack to make money now.
We only have 5 minutes left on the SD card, but that's so funny. That's another thing that we can talk about later is the fucking fake gurus. They're like, I bought a house at 19, you can too, buy my course. Meanwhile, I put a $2,000 down payment and I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my fucking bloodline's existence. Exactly. Anyways, I think that's about time. Thank you, Pablo, for being the first ever guest on tentatively named Figuring Shit Out. Thank you for watching. People definitely did not make it this far. I'll see how much I edit out, but if you did. If you did,
of course you did.
You're a real one. DM me and I'll send you feet pics for free. Shout out Davide for starting a podcast and being a low-key inspiration. I was thinking about it before. I don't want to give you too much credit, But if you listen to this, shout out Davide and shout out Johnny. Yeah, anyways, that's enough. Farewell, shalom.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
You're welcome.
Very nice. I always love talking about issues.
Talking about the problems. All right, farewell.